Tom McMillan, pastor at John Knox, Presbyterian Church. Our theme is walking with Jesus. And part of walking with Jesus is what we pay attention to along the way. What we notice, what we see, what we pay attention to. There's a story of Thomas Merton being with a friend, and they were in the woods taking pictures. They were trying to capture some of the wildlife and the nature, and Merton was kind of stunned by the quickness of his friend, just moving through the woods, trying to find what he had in mind to capture. And Merton addressed him and said, stop looking and begin seeing. Because looking means that you already have something in mind for your eye to find. You've set out in search of your desired object and have closed off everything else presenting itself along the way. But seeing is being open and receptive to what comes to the eye, your vision total and not targeted. There's a story in Acts 16 that we'll be looking at on Sunday. And Paul and Silas are in Philippi. And they notice a slave girl who has a spirit of divination and is telling fortunes for her owners and providing them with quite a profit. And this disturbs Paul and Silas. And they turn to the girl who's not able to speak with her own voice, and they cast this demon out of her. But they see something, they notice something, they pay attention to someone who is afflicted and oppressed and unable to speak with her own voice. They see her. The owners of this girl are simply looking at their prophet now lost, the one who they had relied upon to supply them with money. They can't see the child, they can't see the person, nor can they celebrate her freedom, because they're too locked into what they're looking for, which is their own preservation, their own power, their own profit. So part of walking with Jesus is what we pay attention to and what we see. And some things that we see around us should disturb us. When we see greed, when we see racism, when we see discrimination, when we see hatred and violence, it should disturb us. We should be able to discover what's our part to play in this dynamic. What kind of freedom, what kind of peace, what kind of justice do we need to speak about and act toward? But we also pay attention to what's happening within us, because sometimes we can notice our own anxiety, our own fear, our own loneliness. And sometimes instead of paying attention to it, we project our own fears outside of ourselves, like the slave owners did to Paul and Silas. Instead of owning the reality that they were corrupt and oppressing this girl, they put the blame on Paul and Silas, who actually freed her. And so sometimes in our own noticing, we're not really willing to reckon with what we discover. And so we cast the blame outside of ourselves instead of allowing God to help us and heal us and guide us in what we see around us and what we pay attention to within us. Remember, you're not alone. God cares for you, and so do we.